Hi, welcome to Gruber Power Hour. I am Janie. This is Erika. We have a guest today with us, and as well as Pete, of course.
And of course, Pete Gruber. Yeah.
Today we have an exciting show, bringing Erika back to us and joining us, enlightening us on where she's been and what she's been doing for many years.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about that history, Pete.
Sure. Yeah, well, actually, Erika had joined our company, how many years ago was it?
2011.
2011, okay. And, as we typically, I think you want you to get a little bit closer to the microphone.
yeah.
There we go, yeah.
Sorry.
We have some attrition in our companies. It's quite normal, right?
Right.
But we go to great lengths to prevent it if we can.
Absolutely.
Because it takes so much time, effort, energy to retrain people, and the majority of businesses we're in require a consultative sales style, which means we become experts in a field, and that doesn't happen overnight. There's no quick learning curve to become an expert.
Absolutely.
So in Power Services, which is what this podcast is about, people come to us for the expertise. How do you configure a UPS in my data center, What size do I need? How much electricity will my electricians need to supply? How much amperage?
Solving their problems, yes.
Exactly. So it becomes a very technical consultative style, and that doesn't happen in the first couple of years of a new hire. So we go to great lengths to stem attrition because we really need people to hang out here for a long time. Right?
Yes.
So the way that we do that is, and have been since day one, we have one of the most aggressive compensation plans in the industry. Typically, when people come, they interview, and we talk about, in sales at least, in the call centers or in the account management position, it's a combination of salary plus commission. And they're like, wow, you pay out that much commission, right?
So great margins, yeah.
But that's how you retain people. And our account managers, as they become successful, can actually build a business within a business. And that was one of my original goals in the culture that I was trying to evolve. Was I think that you get peak performance when you give people the ability to actually grow, not just in skills, but their financial, growth. And in order to achieve that, of course, you have to have structure and systems in place that allow that. Most companies don't like it if a sales rep makes more than the CEO or the CFO.
That's my favorite.
It's opposite. We like the soar around here. Yes, absolutely.
And here, if you go into upper management, you're going to have to get used to the fact that oftentimes staff will make more than you do because they've built it up.
Yes.
We go a step further. Not only can an individual contributor make huge sums of money because of their skills, because of their contribution, because of the number of hours that they work, any of that, just like being in business.
Right.
But they can also build a team within the company. And there are many examples. The Gumby team, Darren Crine.
Justin Brownell, Laura Sutton, they're doing it.
Yep. Steve Robinson next door.
Yep.
And there is no limit to the amount of people that they can hire to participate. And if they do it well, they develop functions within their team, prospecting, forward-facing, bringing in business. Then they have the closers. Then they have the engineers that are putting the projects together. So having said all of that, hard work, of course, is the key ingredient. And this is where I go over to Erika, because she had joined us many years ago in 2011. Right. And maybe you can give us your experience as to what it was like back then, why you ended up leaving, and why you ended up coming back.
Yeah, so... so the original time that I started was April of 2011, and I had left, ironically, April 14. I was promised the world when I left here. I was told I was going to enter the shipping industry, actually, and be this heavy hitter, and due to my call volume, and they just gave me all of these promises. And to be honest, I left here in 2014. I've had 13 jobs altogether. Wow. And the reason that is, some of myself, obviously, I'm not going to say I wasn't accountable for some of my hot-headed decisions, but at the same time, it was a lot to do with management and leadership. When I love that saying in sales, there's many managers, but there's not enough leaders. And that's absolutely true. People are retained by people and compensation plans. If you're a salesperson and you're in a company, like you said, there needs to be no cap to your potential. If you want a salesperson who is going to really build that book of business and flourish and do that for you and for the company and for themselves and their family, and to be able to see their family's growth and their family's financial wealth, you can't cap them. They're going to leave and they're going to find something with no cap. And so what I was doing was going from sales rep to realistically vice president of sales is where I ended up prior to coming back here. I was in the shipping industry, and prior to COVID, it was absolutely lucrative. I was making very large figures of money. I was a freight broker. So I was running my own book of business. I had my own customers like PepsiCo and so on and so forth. And, you know, we'd move large volumes of business. I'd go out for all these contracts and this and that. And then COVID hit, and there was a lot of restrictions, a lot of import, export restrictions, a lot of over-the-road restrictions. Then the e-logs came out, and it's just diminished the ability for someone like myself to really have relevance to some of these larger corporations. They started to do things in-house. And the more I noticed going back, every single time I had a conversation with leadership, Gruber was in the forefront of my mind. I said, I want to go back, but what can I do differently? I don't want to just go back to Gruber and not have really tried this and made it work. I tried everything I could to make it work and make it work and make it work, but ultimately it didn't work. And the reason I came back is because this is stability. Gruber has stability. Gruber has tenure. Gruber has the ability to grow. Gruber has, I used to sing a song, I don't know if you remember it, Gruber has it, ooh. I used to laugh when I was on the floor. Adele came out with that song, Rumor Has It.
We're going to have you re-record that now.
Okay, let's do it. I had written the parody for it, and I went home, and I had showed my husband the parody, and he goes, that's hilarious. You should totally do that with me. So I always thought Gruber had it, you know? I didn't understand why I left. All I kept doing was saying, I want to go back. I want to go back where the people are understood, where the business is understood, and where I can have a personal conversation with the owner. Like, you can't do that. At many other companies, it's like the owner is shielded behind this fictitious wall of awesomeness, and then you meet them and you're like, oh. What's so special about you that I couldn't meet you?
Well, what I found over the years coming here after working, you know, my history, mortgage banking, finance, did that for 18 years, restricted in every role. You know, I'm the type of personality where I like to move forward, seek growth, all those areas of opportunity to continue, you know, providing value to the company and what I'm doing. You know, that's where I get my sense of, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, you feel good about yourself. And having been restricted for so many years and so long, and then when I came here, I took an entry-level position, you know, prospecting, making calls. But when I came in with the mindset that, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to make this my new career. And I'm just going to build on it and go as far as I can. And so I just took every opportunity I had to, okay, well, this is where we could do this here. And being in a company that supports that initiative is a big part of it. Exactly. Yeah, when I that allows you to go in and make changes and do things to help drive what we're doing. Yeah.
And when I left, every single company I went to, it was, if you knew more than the manager, they didn't like you anymore. If you didn't give them a brown nosing experience, you know, it was just, you were swept under a rug. So as this caption is, the grass is not greener on the other side. It is green where you water it. And you have to water it with the mindset of an owner at the level that we're at in sales. Because if you don't, like we were just talking about, I mean, if you don't have an owner mentality, then you have absolutely no idea what you're going to take. And then you're not a student. So the entire time I've been gone, I've just been refining my communication skills and getting as educated as possible at the functionality of a team, how to encourage a team, and how to build extremely high volumes of sales just based on the established talent that you already have. And then taking talent that didn't know they had talent and refining their talented skill and giving them added value to not only their personal life, but to the company. And the more that you can make it to where somebody has a life outside of that company, especially in sales, the better off you will. And you've pretty much hit that on the head.
So, you know, everything that you guys are talking about, we have to relate it back to our audience, which is the power services type customers. And the message there is we encourage and we hire overachievers. And we have a culture and a system in place that attracts them and then lets them flourish. And where that came from, guys, is I worked in corporate America for 10 years for Digital Equipment Corporation. Those of you unfamiliar, they've been gone for a while. They were IBM #2 in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It was a stifling environment in many ways, the kinds of things that you describe. Even though you recognized that you had talent, and you were bringing skills, that did not directly translate into income compared to other people that were there that weren't, contributing as much as you were. And I always thought, wouldn't it be great to create a business that encourages overachieving and rewards people for that? And that's exactly the basis for this. Yes.
Amazing concept.
And that's what made me want to come back to Gruber is there's no cap or limit or, I mean, I've already got freckles on my nose, so we don't need a brown nose. I want to make sure that, you know, everybody out there can understand that Gruber is an employee-driven company, and the owner yourself is driving an employee to be better than what they even know themselves to be. And you can't really get that anymore. I haven't found it.
That's the gift. And Janie does a fair share of recruiting. I always find it fascinating when you are when you're interviewing someone and you can see the latent talent, the potential that's in that individual.
Oh, so many times
that even they haven't seen yet.
Right.
And then if they take the job, they hire on. Now you're able to nurture and develop that, and it becomes a discovery process for the employee. But we already knew they were going to be successful in that.
Well, that's what's been so fun over the years. And you know, being here 10 years, I've been able to see that success happen over the years and how they've evolved. We have so many people that we've brought in and into our, you know, entry-level incoming position, and we see that talent during the interview, and then I can already envision them as they're progressing far beyond what they've already seen, and then I see it develop over the years. So now that we have so many people in different roles and different positions throughout the company successfully, you know, achieving their goals, it's amazing. Yeah.
So there's a humorous side note to this as well. You were gone 13 years, right?
10. 2014 to 2024.
Oh, 2014. I thought you said 2011. Okay.
I started in 2011 and I left in 2014.
She helped train me in telemagic when I first started.
Amazing. Yes.
Yes. I hired your mother.
Yes, and mom.
Oh, that's right.
Absolutely.
Barbara,
Yes.
I would hire your mother because she was older. And I said, that's just the seasoning. Is that like when you season a cast iron pan? I was like, she already knows what she's doing.
And she became an inspiration to all of the younger folks in the team. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, because she had that sales under her belt.
I saw in her what nobody else wanted to see. I said, oh my gosh, I would give her everything. If she called me on the phone, I would just give her everything.
Well, let's talk about culture for a moment then again.
Okay.
Yeah. So many companies have a mandatory, arbitrary retirement age that has to be enforced.
Right.
And even though those people have plenty of talent, they have all their skills, and they would like to continue to work, in some companies that isn't possible.
No.
And as you know, in our company, it's the exact opposite.
You can go to your job.
We treasure the folks with experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love having conversations with those folks because you learn so much from them. We're constantly learning. We're constantly evolving. I'll never stop picking up from others that we engage with throughout the day and all of that. Absolutely.
So the humorous element where I started to go was when she was reapplying for a position here, she gets voicemail and she goes, "What the hell? That's me. That's my voice."
It's her on
I'm the
call.
voice on Gruber. Yeah.
There we go. When you call in, you know.
When you call.
We knew that Erika
amazing.
had a very pleasant voice 10 years ago or whatever, whenever we recorded that. And she did the most of our voicemail. And it turns out it's still there. So if you want to call us, you're going to hear Erika.
Yep, still haven't got the royalties.
So here's another interesting side note about Erika Guthrie. And maybe the last name is a clue to all of you. Erika is actually a descendant of some very famous folk singers.
Oh, yeah.
And can you guess who we're talking about yet? I asked social media, I said, have you ever heard of, whatever the name was? And he said, no, Woody Guthrie and 𝙈𝙚𝙙𝙀 Guthrie. So tell us about that connection.
Most of my generation
mention
has no
their
idea who
music,
they
too,
are.
that they've done, because that gives away who they are, recognizing the
Timeless
music.
music, yes.
Absolutely.
So Woody Guthrie is originally who was first known. So Woody Guthrie was born in 1912, and he passed away in 1967 because of Huntington's disease. And he had, his cousin was Jack Guthrie, and they started a group called Oak and Woody Show, and they did a show. And so my family wrote "This Land Is Your Land," and as we were talking about it, the story of "This Land Is Your Land" was just as simple as they were anti-government in state. My family does not want the government involved in their household day-to-day opportunities. And, there were a lot of cornfields that were coming up, and the government was saying, no, you can't grow corn. And they said, well, why not? And they said, well, it's only this genetical, makeup that we want the corn to be. So they would have planes fly over. They'd either offer you money not to buy corn or to grow corn.
Yeah.
Or they would fly planes over if you disagreed and pollinate, and then tax you because you had their corn.
Wow.
So that was their way of doing it. So my my great cousin, he went out and he's riding the railroads and he's singing the song and all. He's "This land is my land," and he rode from California all the way to the New York Isle, and he was singing the song and came to one of the most popular songs in the world. And he influenced so many people to speak up. He influenced a lot of people to understand that with music came unity. And then, moving into his son, 𝙈𝙚𝙙 Guthrie, who helped form Woodstock. I mean, the most favorite and world-renowned festival. I wish.
Well,
I was there.
I want to hit on the point that, you mentioned how he had rode the railway across the United States to get his music out there. Now it's so easy to reach an audience worldwide as we do. Exactly, to get our information out there, to get what we want to communicate out there. Back in those days, that's amazing that he did that.
Didn't eat for days.
That it, and that it actually was able to take place and keep hold with the people that he was singing to throughout the United States, and it's carried on to this day. Yeah,
my
that's
family
awesome.
created so much music that, today is seen everywhere. It's in so many movies. Even today's day and age. So 𝙈𝙚𝙙's daughter and Willie Nelson's daughter started a group called Folk Ook. And there's a show out there called Orange is the New Black or something like that.
Right.
The female show. Well, that song that they sing, I don't know, can we curse on this show?
Go for it.
Motherfucker got fucked up when he got in the way. So they sing that. And, now they're
awesome.
bringing the new generation of Guthries out there. I'm so excited for my cousin.
Cool.
I love you guys. And if the musical influences from the Carter family, Bob Willis, Bob Dylan, it goes on. And the list of famous country singers and folk singers and alternative music.
You know, I've got a
Crazy.
musical background in my family as well.
Really?
In the country segment.
I did not know this, so
Yeah.
I'm curious now.
You're learning something new.
Yeah.
Actually, in Scottsdale, there is a country western bar, and the Herndon brothers play there.
I know who they are.
Yes, exactly. They're very well known in the Valley, the Herndon brothers. And this is my dad's cousins.
No.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yes, it's
We're
actually my
related then
dad's.
somewhere.
Yeah, probably. And many years ago, a couple of the Herndon brothers went to Nashville, to produce their music and so forth. And then they ended up coming back. But one of them, Ty Herndon, actually took off in the country music, genre, and he's done very well for himself. And so, yeah, we've got the same
Wow.
for at our history.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I actually had the privilege of just being in the same building as Johnny Cash, and I felt
Oh, that's awesome.
I just couldn't believe how amazing
yeah.
it was. I was little, but still, I saw him and I went,
yeah.
cowboy guy, Dad.
He's a legend.
Yeah, and he's like, go talk to him, Erika. Go talk to him. Get me in there. And I was like, you're the famous one. You can get me in there.
That's awesome. Very cool. Have you been to the Musical Instrument Museum?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Music
So
is
interesting.
100% my day-to-day life. I mean, if I didn't have kids, I probably would have gone on tour with Garth Brooks. That was my dream. My dream. I know his guitarist, Mr. Garcia. Yeah. Now they have a residency over in Vegas right now with Trisha and
right.
Garth. Yeah.
Yeah.
My father, when he sang, he sounded exactly like Garth Brooks. So, and he did the 12 string, and he made me learn. He made me learn everything to do with music. And funny enough, my dad couldn't read music. Everything was just by ear, and he just, would just strum away, and I would hum it, and he would strum it. And that was how we created music. And then he forced me to do the fiddle. He's like, you got to do it. You got to do it. You're a Guthrie. You got to play the fiddle.
Right.
So I said, all right. And as I was learning it in school, I was learning sheet music along with it. And then as I was learning the sheet music, I'm like, Dad, what's that note? He goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
Play it. And I'm like, well, I can play it if I don't know what it says. So then I learned the easy way, every good boy does fine, or FACE, learning how to read music, whole notes, half notes, thirds, da-da-da. And then I learned how to sing the notes before I learned how to play the notes. And so I could sing the notes, and then I learned it by ear.
Nice.
So it was pretty cool. So I did cello, bass cello, violin, clarinet, flute, and vocals.
I tried it so many times growing up.
It's
it
hard.
wasn't there.
It's hard. I was first
I
chair
gave it all
forever.
a try, but I was determined as a kid that I was going to figure out where my talent was in some kind of either music or gymnastics. So I went through everything, trying everything out. I broke some wrists along the way. I didn't find my talent in that manner, but elsewhere.
My dad would sing in bars almost every night. He had his own album and everything, and he would
that's
tour
awesome.
with his. When he was younger, I guess he would do some after his father, Jack Guthrie.
Okay.
And so when I learned about my dad doing, I think I was somewhere between 3 and 5 years old.
Sure.
But I have pictures of it. I had my little mini, like one of those
right.
little toy microphones.
Right.
And I had it, and I was behind the stage like this, and there's a picture of me singing the song. And then my dad in the video brings me out, and I started singing The Dance by Garth Brooks with my dad. And it just brought him to tears. And it was that moment that I was like, all of these people are staring. I like this. I like it.
You enjoyed it.
I love this attention. So
Nice.
my dad said, you got to become a really good storyteller, and then the music will just follow.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Fun story. That's
Did
why
you
I'm
ever
great
try
at telling
singing,
stories.
Pete? Music?
You guys have talked a lot about your musical background. My mother thought that I was going to be the next Beethoven.
Is that why
yeah.
you love classical music so much?
Probably. The problem was she got this huge piano, and we were dirt poor. I don't know how she was able to afford that, but
Right.
she gets this piano. She gives me piano lessons.
Right.
And, you know, I'm like 4, 5, 6, something like that. I wanted to be outside playing with my friends.
Oh, right.
I didn't want to practice scales, right?
Right, right.
So it gave me a bad taste. Then
Oh, okay. You're like, boo.
many years later, though, I got an electric piano, got into electronics, I got into
Okay.
synthesizers, began to
Right.
experiment with
You're the
things.
80s spaceship.
And, yeah.
Right.
Then I got a grand piano myself, and
Oh, nice.
I'm not very good, but I
Yeah.
used to love singing and accompanying it with piano.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then later on, I got a bass guitar.
Okay.
Love the sound of a bass.
Love it too.
And the
Right.
simplicity. You got 4 strings. You know?
Right, right. Oh, indeed.
Problem is doing some machine work about 4 years ago or so, this finger got pretty boogered up. It's my fret hand. It won't go down.
Oh, no.
So my bass guitar days are
Yeah.
over, but
No, it's not. There's a cool invention I saw actually out there, and it links to your fingers.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it'll push it for you because you can't completely close. It'll close it for you.
no kidding.
Oh, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna get it
Oh,
for you.
yeah. One of those
Well,
gloves.
since we're on the subject of solutions like this, we do an AI podcast for those of you that watch us Wednesday. And
Oh, that
on
one was
this
fun.
last podcast, we were talking about the ability to download consciousness. They say that by the year 2045,
What a concept.
21 years away now, we're going to be able to download into a memory system your entire memories and your consciousness.
So does that feed out to
Wow.
where you are in a simulation?
Well, that's another rabbit hole. We've been there too.
Okay.
But the point in all this is if you don't like your body,
You
download
change
your
it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
We're gonna
god!
have
my
body
gosh.
farms.
We're gonna live forever.
Or yeah, that's right, immortality. Or robots, machines that
Transform ourselves
can
into
look
one of them.
human. We can look whatever. You can look like R2D2
They're
for all
already
that.
there. We are already there. Isn't that crazy?
Travel.
Wow.
We talked about travel. We went down a bunch of rabbit holes this
Okay.
last Wednesday. All right. Travel right now. We went to Austria. It was like 12 hours of misery, right? You're sitting in a plane and coach. We had a
Oh,
flight
yeah,
coach.
nobody wants to do that.
No, horrible. Well, with downloading consciousness at the speed of light, you can transfer that into another body over there.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
What a concept.
And if you want to look like
gosh.
Arnold Schwarzenegger over there, you can do that in Austria. Walk around saying,
Right.
I am back now.
That's crazy.
What a concept, because we're always looking for ways to, it's human nature to travel to distant areas and different places.
Curiosity.
And we've always been able to innovate our ways to do that. Amazing. Yeah.
Creepy at the same time, though. Someone's
Oh,
gonna
totally.
take my mind and throw it into their body.
Or into the ocean. And then you're really screwed.
There's a fish out there.
Right.
So you may ask, what does all this have to do with Gruber Power
I know.
Services, right? Well,
We'll have to back ourselves up.
I think our customers learning about us is important.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
This company has a soul. Most companies
Right.
do. And one of the nice things about this type of medium is that you can become acquainted with the vendors that you're using or the companies.
Absolutely.
And of course, the people behind the scenes. We're going to
Know
have
who
many
you're
more
working
people.
with.
Right.
Yeah. yeah.
Yes.
And what is their commitment to quality? To what's their culture?
Right.
And what are their goals?
Well, that's big, especially in the industry that we operate within, because it's critical to their infrastructures and, what they're doing. The facilities directors and managers or IT managers, the points of contact that we're developing relationships with, they're responsible for their infrastructures. And so when they're coming to us to assist them, they're depending on us.
Yeah.
And that relationship of them knowing that of who we are, how we operate, that they can depend on us, we're going to pick up the phone and we're going to follow through with what we're doing
Right.
is so incredibly important. And it's through those relationships that we've been so successful in what we're doing. That's
And one
huge.
other
Yeah.
gift is we recognized early on, in fact, ever since I was a kid, actually, that electronics was here to stay.
Oh, absolutely.
yes.
And it's future proof. So
Yeah.
many industries have gone by the wayside. We're not
Right.
building steam engines.
Right.
We are in the type of businesses that have a future, whether
Right.
it's our communication products group, interconnecting, we're going to continue to do that.
Right.
Power services, you've got to have clean power for AI, all of these computers, all of these high-end, sophisticated tools, even in the production process now. And so we are definitely in the type of business that is future-proof and sustainable. So anybody looking toward a company to work, I think that's a consideration. What kind of market and business am I getting into? Is it going to be around? And you have examples of that, things that went away.
You gave me the best example in 2011 when you trained me. You said when you walked in the room, and it was stuck with me. If grandma's on life support and the power goes out, goodbye, Grandma. That's why we're here.
Right.
It was the most simplistic thing, but the industry has changed so much, from improving property value simply between the electric vehicle charging stations is improving property value. It's improving the industry's quality, building redundancies.
Yes.
Just the technology and innovation really is merging, and we're seeing it.
You know, I just
We're relevant.
I had a flash when we were thinking about this, a thought. You know, we're doing this podcast 40 years from now, and then we can change out who we are. We're going to continue to go as we're talking about.
And then, like, the recent weather events, going on, especially over in Florida and North Carolina and just the whole Western, I can learn. Division is like, had there been alternative infrastructures in place for the communities that were affected and that continue to be infected.
Yeah.
It is infected by water. No, affected. Then perhaps the relationship that we could generate over there would be a little bit more at ease, to show them that they're able to have facilities for emergency purposes, that Gruber would be able to have flown out immediately as these things were happening. Well, of course, as permitted, and take care of that, and then bring sustainability and, again, relevance and redundancy of power. Because if we don't have redundancy and we don't have the power, our industry is not going to die. Our industry is not going to die.
Exactly.
The power relevance is only continuing, and making it more efficient, cleaner, and understandable to just the average end user is, I think, what Gruber really promotes and is very, very skilled at.
The technology is, with artificial intelligence, places a new demand on uptime, on the amount of equipment that's required, the amount of processors.
Right.
You know, we spoke about this Wednesday as well. The supercomputer now that is being built in Texas Tesla.
Yes.
That's so cool.
At this point, Elon's goal is to create the largest AI computer ever, right?
Wow.
100,000 NVIDIA chips. It costs $33,000 a piece.
Whoa.
It's about $3 to $5 billion just for the chips.
Oh, my goodness.
And there are people now taking clone shots of the facility being prepped for this large supercomputer. They call it Cortex now, I believe.
Okay.
They're massive, just the cooling towers alone. Of course, the power requirements are going to be in the megawatt, capacity.
Right. So to support
Elon, if you're watching, my name's Erika Guthrie. Please give me a call.
that. Right.
And so, yeah, we're right on the forefront of all that technology, and you can just see it beginning to
Exciting.
increase, and all the demands increase. Very exciting time to be alive. Yes.
It really is. Very fun, invigorating.
One final thing that we did, the backdrop. This is artificial intelligence, and I asked it. The prompt was, show me a greener grass scenario regarding employment and people leaving for greener grass, and this is what it came up with. And I thought it was a great.
It did a
abstract.
good job. Yeah.
I like it.
Now, the grass looks very tranquil and green, but what we find is most people that leave
faces.
and then come back say, the grass was brown. It wasn't green.
The grass was not
Right.
greener on the other side. No,
Right,
absolutely
right.
not. And I've even spoken with, tenure account managers. I mean, we're talking people that have been here, almost 20 years or a little
We've
more.
Up to
got
30, yeah.
30 years. I mean, they all said the same thing. Had you not left, you would be where you wanted to be. And they're not
Right.
wrong. Had I just
But
stayed where
Erika,
I
Stuck it
was and
out.
watered it.
it's okay. As we were talking
But I grew
earlier,
up.
it
Right.
is a learning experience.
life
It was a
experience.
necessary cycle in your life.
I agree.
You were very young when you left, and this is your
Right.
chance now to pick up and carry
Good
on.
for us. We got her back after she's
Good for
all
me. I got you back.
That's
All right.
right.
I love it.
Well, I think that wraps it up for us. And thank you all for viewing, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Aloha.